Okay, you've talked about the P52 Orions and the P52 J-Rods. Am I right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what causes the split? Because the Orions, I'm thinking, are the blonde Nordics.
Have you heard of the P52s?
They are the survivors who do not go underground.
And the P47s. Do you know what that is?
The P45s, meaning they are from the future, 45,000 years ahead of
45,000 years ahead.
P47 is present plus 47,000 years. P52 is present plus 52,000 years.
They would be considered 45,000 years and 52,000 years, respectively, ahead of us.
They're us from the future. They're from here. They are you. They are me. They're from here, from the future.
Used these ERBs to go back in time. Some of them were worshipped.
Used the word applied engineering. Dr. Teller was still alive, knows he helped him.
By physicist Edward Teller. I have a guy on my team. He was basically the best friend of Edward Teller. I was homeschooled through this group called Covenant Christian Academy. Jim Ashburn, Sean Bellina, MKultra motherfucker. His parents were both OBGYNs for MKultra, and he was raised on LSD from the age of 6. Was a CCA homeschool dad. Bill Dent, the best friend of Edward Teller, neutron bomb inventor, was a CCA homeschool dad.
I left town to go to Huntsville. I retired and started homeschooling my kids and became a consultant.
Like all of these people homeschooled through the same group that I graduated from. I was born in Huntsville, Alabama, to the technical lead of the PRL. I'm like the propulsion princess of Huntsville, Alabama, the propulsion capital of the world, totally by accident. 100% by accident. I was born into this shit. I have not sought out any information about aliens whatsoever. I've sought out zero information about aliens. Everything I know is from direct experience. And so I was in Seattle and my dad got poached by this weird ass investor. Long story, weird ass investor poached my dad out of NASA. And this weird ass investor who lives in Austin, Texas, he's a real estate investor in Austin, Texas, made all his money doing real estate for GE in Moscow, whatever. This guy, this investor, brings Hal to our house 3 times. I was present for one of the times. I happened to be home from Seattle at the same time that Hal came over, and I sat with him in my dining room over there at the dining room table, and he was talking about ultra-terrestrials.
I don't trust Hal Puthoff for shit.
Hal says he's telekinetic. I heard it from his face.
yeah, and Hal, you know who Hal really
Hal's a liar though.
Hal is the doctor from Stranger Things who will torture little alien kids.
No, he is.
Get all the juice out of their brain. And
Hal is actually extremely evil.
Yes.
No, I've met the man. He's extremely evil. He's very quiet. He listens more than he talks. But you can tease things out of him, but it's only what he wants you to tease out of him. He's like a nice old grandpa. Like you talk to him and he's like quiet and sweet and gentle like a nice old grandpa. But he's evil as fuck. It's creepy. Lou is evil. Brandenburg is evil. Brandenburg is like super evil. And basically ultra-terrestrials are like, he talks about extraterrestrial. Extra implies that they're from somewhere else, from the outside. Extra implies they're from not here, from ultra-terrestrial.
They're from the Dolly.
They're not necessarily from the outside. They're from here.
Oh,
They're
so they're like ascended beings, or
No.
So then they're you. High
No.
IQ.
No,
What are they?
they're not ascended. They look like you and me. 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 If you don't know, I don't know. Am I one? I don't know. But no, so Hal talks about ultra-terrestrials and they're from here, but ultra, why are they so much better? Why are they so much better? So the ultra-terrestrials, I'll just tell you, the ultra-terrestrials, I think, have you heard of the P52s and the P47s? Do you know what that is? They're us from the future. They're from here. They are you. They are me. They're from here, from the future. P47 is present plus 47,000 years. P52 is present plus 52,000 years. And basically there's a calamity, right? So there's like a apocalypse scenario in the near future. It wipes out most of like everything, man. And there's the ones that go underground and survive, right? And then there's the ones that somehow stay on the surface and miraculously don't die.
Okay, you've talked about the P52 Orions and the P52 J-Rods. Am I right?
Mhm.
Okay, what causes the split? Because the Orions, I'm thinking, are the blonde Nordics.
They're the ones that prefer to stay out of the safety zones when it happens. They are the survivors who do not go underground.
Are these good? Is this a good division of humanity? I mean, the P52
I
Orion
don't consider any
Nordics.
division of humanity good. I consider them the more positive of the two because I consider the positive aspects of humanity to be the spiritual aspects.
So you're saying the Nordic line is spiritual?
Yeah,
More
extremely,
spiritual.
extremely, yeah.
Okay. So how does the Nordic line, I mean, you say they stay out.
They actually move off from Earth first. The J-rods, or the precursors to the J-rods, stay on Earth for a great deal of time. Well after 24,000 years from the time of the transition, like 24,000 years from now, because there were 24 or so thousand years ahead of us when they crashed in Roswell in 1947. Those were 24s. They stay. The Orions move off first to the place after the reestablishment of a society on the surface of the Earth. Technology is refurbished, etc. They move off to the place where the Ark is held.
Which is where?
Our nearest body, the moon.
The moon.
Where on it, I'm not going to say.
Okay. Well, this
Because I'm
gets
having
into...
to defend against the possibility of timeline 1 transitioning over to timeline 2 in a manner different than I've been told. And I'm not going to be the person who hands off the wrong information.
So, okay, but you're saying the Nordics are going to get off Earth if the catastrophe happens, or regardless,
They leave after.
after the catastrophe happens.
Presumably several thousand years after it happens. They
Several
leave.
thousand
They-
years.
yes,
Oh, I
they
was
move to
getting the
moon.
impression you were talking about
not
them
really.
going on spaceships or something.
No. They move off to the moon several thousand years via spacecraft. They get to the place where the Ark was held, and they reestablish a new community. From there, they move to Mars. From Mars out to Orion.
So
Talking a lot of time here.
the face on Mars, is this, are we looking at something that was left behind by the Nordics?
Mhm.
So we're looking
as best
forward.
as I know.
We're looking forward to our future when we're looking at the ruins.
Yeah, we're looking at a paradox of their ruins, which they left on another planet
In our future,
in our future.
in our possible future.
Yep.
Basically, you're saying there's two timelines. I mean, I'm sure you're aware of the work of physicists now that are saying, look, if you can have two timelines, you can have 2 million.
Well, don't we really have 3 or 4? I'm discussing 24,000s, I'm discussing 45,000s, 52,000s, and present day. How many timelines are that? Because these people moved ahead linearly in their timeline. Just because we want to call it timeline 2
which we now
doesn't mean that there are other effects or superimposings which are occurring on different realities during even their own timelines.
Exactly. I mean,
know.
there's a sense at which what you're talking about is not so much that the P45s, for example, timeline won't exist, as it will actually separate from our reality and become more like a parallel reality instead of an intersecting one.
From what I understand, the people who were just prior, which would be us, according to their history, to the people who were just after, exist as a straight vector of time. So in other words, God forbid the catastrophe occur, it will just appear as tomorrow the catastrophe occurs, et cetera, and we move forward and changes start occurring in the earth. There is a disaster, there is a loss of huge life, etc. We won't probably feel anything change aside from the fact that we'll all be running scared for our lives. Aside from that, I have no explanation.
Okay, you're saying if the catastrophe occurs.
Yeah.
But if it doesn't occur, there's still the element in which we have been visited by a timeline in which really does exist in a sense. And how do you unmake something which has been made? That's kind of, I mean, it's more of a philosophical question.
I don't know, and all I can do is defer to the Creator on that issue. Because all we do is perturb.
I'm in Huntsville, Alabama. I know I've said that several times. We're the Rocket City. We're the biggest deal you've never heard of. Von Braun was here and we won the space race. We developed the Saturn V here. We built the Saturn V here. We won the space race here in Alabama, whether you've heard of it or not.
We know with electromagnetism, and remember, I had some von Braun scientists on my team. I discussed this with Hermann Obert at Pedamundo. He was von Braun's boss, and he believed in space travel and dimensional travel even. And I discussed this with von Braun and my own German scientist. I had two on my team to investigate the line of atoms and metals.
Didn't just stop at mysticism. The Nazis were also pioneers of actual rocket science. One of the key figures was Hermann Oberth. Born in Transylvania, inspired by sci-fi writer Jules Verne, Oberth began theorizing about spaceflight as a teenager. In 1923, he published The Rocket into Planetary Space, a landmark book that laid out how a multi-stage rocket could escape Earth's gravity. He was decades ahead of his time. He envisioned orbiting telescopes, spacesuits, weather-controlling satellites, even missions to other planets. His ideas sparked a movement, and when World War II began, Oberth was pulled into military work, building rockets for Germany and later for Italy. After the war, Oberth became one of the few major scientists to publicly support the reality of UFOs.
After so many witnesses have seen the so-called flying saucers, their existence can no longer be denied. I believe that these flying objects come from another solar system.
In a 1954 lecture, he argued that these UFOs had been observed since at least the 1400s. Oberth believed they were piloted by extraterrestrial visitors, monitoring Earth's nuclear sites and military tech. In interviews, he even said, "We cannot take all of the credit for our record advancements in certain scientific fields. We have been helped." When asked by whom, he replied, "The people of the other worlds."
I left town to go to Huntsville, which is called Rocket City. That's where all the missile defense program is done. That's where all the engineering's done. Every aerospace company that you've ever heard of has an office in Huntsville.
Huntsville,
Alabama.
Really?
Yeah, it's one of those tech cities that it's very, if you go to Huntsville, you will hardly ever find somebody speaking in a southern drawl. Most everybody's has come from someplace else. It's a lot of, actually, this Chamber of Commerce there claims that there's more PhDs per capita in Huntsville than any other place on the planet, but I don't know whether that's true or whether that's hype.
How long has it been like that?
Well, it started with von Braun. Von Braun, when they picked up the rocket scientists in Germany at the end of World War II, those rocket scientists went to Huntsville. So that was where the
paperclip scientists were based in Huntsville?
Paperclip scientists?
Yeah, the Operation Paperclip, yeah, where they brought all the Nazis back to the U.S., the top right. Nazi scientists.
Went to Huntsville.
Mm-hmm.
And I can tell you for a fact, so many prototypes. Only prototype built like this in the world. You turn it on the first time, it works exactly like you thought it would the first time. Great data. You apply for more funding to test it more thoroughly, they cancel it. They cancel it. It goes to NASA divestment. It goes to the auction block. People bid on it. And literally scrap metal vendors win the bid and melt it down for scrap metal and sell it.
We kept a secret one way. We had to keep a secret for two reasons. One was a climate opinion within our own government. The people higher up in the government didn't like the military or the army. And if you remember, in those days, NASA took space. We did Project Horizon in '59. It's part of it's in the book. First 50, that's 310 pages long. We were going to put a military colony on the moon. They took that away from us. They took atomics from us. With atomic engine, but we still kept developing atomics, and we did the ion engine and some other things that maybe the world could use today, like the portable atomic installation went to McMurdo Air Force Base, made 28 million gallons of water a day, 10 million in 4 years. Then when they came back, they destroyed on us. We did the first heart pump. We did some atomic ion that took nitrogen in the air and made a fuel you could run automobile from it. And they used Pu-238, what we used. And most of the probes that went to Mars and Saturn and so forth and Jupiter, where our little engine was in those. The Soviets stole it, some of their spies. In fact, I have satellites up in space going right today, but they're leaking because they didn't do a good job with them.
Back to the idea of the cover-up. I know you've said before that it wasn't really an active cover-up.
No, because I was telling them in later interviews, if you let the government alone, it'll cover itself up. Really, the way we handled it, one was a climate of opinion, as I said. The other was within our own government, we had enemies who would have been glad to destroy all this on us and to have us as kooks. So all we did, I got the job of going and developing a program, which is discussed in the book, how it was done. And through this program, we started feeding it out through industry. But this was not on paper. They went out as normal research and development proposals, not to name something.
Yeah, you didn't put out a report that said, here's some alien stuff, figure it out.
We put our regular research and development proposal that came from somebody's brain. And also this was known among a select few, mostly combat officers, head to head. We kept this among ourselves because otherwise we were certain that they would have destroyed our organization, and we had a good organization. General Trudeau pulled it together just a couple of years before. They would have destroyed our organization and labeled us as kooks and taken our budget away. So it had to be. We didn't cover because we gave it to industry with the provisions, and I'll repeat this. The provisions were to come back to us with what you prove, competitive edge of the Army, give it to the people and to the world if necessary, and take the patents. We encourage you to take the patents. And I have this in paper written by generals in 1963.
Get to the other level.
Here's my experience with that. My Hal 5 talk, it's the Huntsville, Alabama L5 Society. It's like the weirdest, like, retired NASA, like they have spooky stories about like weird shit, like UFOs and time travel and weird shit, like retired NASA, whatever, Marshall, Redstone, Huntsville. So that's my favorite party to crash. Like I love to crash a Hell 5 party. It's awesome because I show up. It's awesome. I show up. I'm the only woman there and I'm less than 40. And the dudes lose their shit. They lose their shit, man. I'm a woman. I'm under 40. And they have heard stories about my dad. They're like, Richard Eskridge, fuck, he's crazy. I've heard stories about him. Like I've literally been at networking events and I'm in line just for an event or whatever. And I talk to a random NASA person and he knows the name Eskridge. And he's like, oh, Richard Eskridge, he's a crazy motherfucker. He's like, he gave me a spectrophotometer this one time. And I took it home and I opened the box and a snake crawled out of it. That's a real story I heard. That's a real story. And like, I go to these networking events and they're like, Richard Eskridge, you're Richard Eskridge's daughter. He's fucking crazy and he's fucking smart. But so I crash the Hell 5 parties all the time. And Man, my contact form on my website is like you said, it filters for the quality people. Oops. The problem with that. It's mostly the majority of it is nation state motherfuckers. No one knows about you except the people who want to know. AKA, so Galactic Greg is the founder of the Hal 5. He's been the founder of the Hal 5 for like 25 or 30 years. He's got this awesome beard. He started this YouTube channel.
Jeremy, what are they going to hire you to do? You're doing what you're good at. What are you good at? That's the real question.
Biggest problem with really smart motherfuckers is they solve one really big problem. They get a pat on the back and they rest on their laurels forever. I'm really smart. I'm a smart motherfucker. I'm a genius. I solved this famous problem. I published this paper. I got a Nobel. Dopamine, reward complex in my brain. Dopamine, reward. And they rest on their laurels. You know what they do with their smartest people? Cancel. Dopamine block. They get the ideas from you. They get the design. They get the prototype that works the first time you turn it on, and then they cancel it and they take it a level deeper. Because the fact is, it's a waste of your time. If you're a problem solver, if you solve impossible problems, it's a waste of your time to optimize a problem you've already solved for application. So what they do, you solve the impossible problem, and then they cancel it in the white world. They move it a level deeper, they optimize it for the secret application, and they give you a new problem, and then they cancel it. And then they give you a new problem, and then they cancel it. And a new problem, and they cancel it. And they psychologically abuse you into seeking the dopamine of the satisfaction of reward. And they use you as an idea factory. That's what they do to their smartest people. Because if they reward you with success, you rest on your laurels. I'm so fucking smart, I never have to try again. But if they cancel, you're constantly trying to prove yourself. You're constantly trying to solve the next problem. Because the last problem, you solved it, you didn't get recognition. So the next problem, you're going to solve it again, even faster, even harder to get recognition. They cancel it again. No, they psychologically abuse their smartest people. They've done it to us.
They're squeezing them. That's what they're doing.
They squeeze them. True. Here's a problem, solve it, cancel. Here's another problem, solve it, cancel. Prove yourself.
Amy,
and you have all these
that's what your body's doing to you. You always need dopamine.
Hush. They have all these geniuses that are constantly trying to be like, damn, I've worked at NASA for 40 years and nothing I've ever done in my entire career has been deployed. Cancel. I need to try harder on the next one, or my career is a failure and I've wasted my entire career of being a genius. Guess what? All of those ideas got applied and optimized for the secret space program, motherfucker. You never saw the success. You never got the satisfaction. You never got the pat on the back. You never got the dopamine. And it means that you work harder on the next problem to prove yourself so your career isn't a waste after 30, 40 years. That's what they do in Huntsville, Alabama. They psychologically abuse you into solving problems forever. Idea factory. Straight up. They abuse you. They really do. They withhold the satisfaction because it makes you solve the next problem better if you withhold the satisfaction. And what I learned, my first job was at 15 at the Weapons Sciences Directorate for AMRDEC. I did not apply for that job. I did a science fair project in piezoelectrics, and I got a call from the Army, and they offered me a job at 15. I couldn't even drive. My brother had to drive me into the arsenal because they offered the job to both of us, me and my older brother who could drive. And we carpooled every day for the summer. Yeah, dude. They're like, hey, I heard you did piezoelectrics for the science fair. Here's a job at the Weapons Sciences Directorate, Building 1408 on Redstone Arsenal. And like, I left defense. I was born for defense. I was raised for defense. I'm like 10 years old and my dad is at the whiteboard like, this is how physics works, little girl. And I'm like, my brain is expanding. It's too hard, but my brain is expanding since I was young. I was born for this. And I got a job at the AMRDEC Weapons Sciences Directorate. And then I did that for 2 years. And I was like, LOL, I'm going to go do gene therapy now in biotech. And when I left, they were like, hey, if you ever want to come back to AMRDEC and explode things, let us know and we'll pay your tuition for engineering. And I was like, LOL, I'm going to go do biotech now. And for the next 10 years, I got so many offers for engineering jobs. It was crazy. Defense jobs. They tried to pull me back in so hard. It was just insane. And I was like, no, I'm going to do gene therapy though, bro. And then I did that for 10 years. And then they sabotaged it. I was 6 months away from a PhD in biotech. Totally sabotaged it down the toilet. Completely ruined. Over it, like it was, you know, it was through like a fake vehicle of sabotage, right? It was like a sexual harassment thing. It was like a really horrible court case, like really horrible thing. But you know what? If that hadn't happened, if I hadn't have been sexually harassed in grad school, I wouldn't be doing anti-gravity right now.
That's right.
I wouldn't be doing anti-gravity right now because they already did that.
Jerry, this girl
No.
is the anti-gravity messiah.
If I had not been horribly harassed in grad school, I would be the CEO or the CTO of a gene therapy company right now. And I would not have time. I would not have time to fund my dad's anti-gravity research. But because I was harassed in grad school and I have PTSD now because it was horrible, because of that, I'm funding anti-gravity right now because of that. Tried to pull me back in so many times. It was crazy. We could be crazy far. We could be on the moons of Jupiter. We could be exploring Pluto that isn't even a planet anymore if we had spent money differently. I can tell you the names of so many NASA scientists that are depressed and they want to kill themselves because they have built prototype after prototype after prototype in Huntsville, Alabama. First in the world, never before seen, worked the first time you turned it on exactly like you thought. And it was canceled and melted down for scrap metal.
When that mission to the moon went out, that went out of Marshall Space Flight Center. That's in Huntsville. So Huntsville was the first big missile center. That was the base. All of our missile work is done there. And in the tactical arena, the Army does all its tactical missiles, like TOW and other sorts of tactical things are all done. Most of the engineering and design is done in Huntsville. So it's a big tech center full of mathematicians and scientists and engineers.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so it's one of those tech centers, and it's nice actually to be there because it's like an oasis of I don't know, I was going to say smart people, but it's got a lot to it's got a lot to recommend it, because to support all those people, then there's an infrastructure that grows up around it to support. So it's got a big massive civic center, and we get off-Broadway plays, and it's a pretty good cultural center as well.
So I'm looking at this wiki, and it's talking about lead up to SDI. It says Reagan's Secretary of State suggested that a 1967 lecture by physicist Edward Teller, the so-called father of the hydrogen bomb, was an important precursor to SDI. I have the shit here, man. So I have a guy on my team. That I employ, and he's like, he came to me. I didn't go looking for him. He came to me. And he was basically the best friend of Edward Teller. And he was like this guy, basically helped invent the hydrogen bomb, but he's not on the Wikipedia article. He's a neutron bomb nuclear weapons expert from Huntsville, Alabama, whatever. I employ him because he came to me. And this guy is so fucking good at playing stupid. You wouldn't believe it. He's like, yeah, Ed Teller was my best friend, and he came to visit me in Huntsville several times before he died, and I invented the neutron bomb. And I'm like, okay, you are an SRI plant. But when I look at this wiki about SDI, I see Bill fucking Dent all over this. Bill fucking Dent. He's on my team. I employ him. He loves me. We're buddies. He acts like he would follow me off a cliff, except I think he's a CIA SRI plant on my team because he was Ed Teller's best friend. And I asked him, I'm like, Bill, what do you think about UFOs? And he's like, I don't think about UFOs. I don't have any opinions about UFOs. And I'm like, really? Because your best friend is Edward Teller. And Ed Teller gave like Ed Teller was like big into UFOs. I'm like, you can't be Ed Teller's best friend in reality and not be into UFOs. I'm sorry. I was born in Huntsville, Alabama, in the West Wing of Huntsville Hospital in Madison County, Alabama. On a Saturday around midnight, I was born. I don't know. I'm a Virgo. So I was told, which is funny. My current gynecologist, OBGYN, the man that does my pap smears every year, gave birth to me in Huntsville Hospital 32 years ago. It's like my current gyno did my delivery 32 years ago for my mom. It's some small town shit.
Small group of people that are all interconnected.
Yes, absolutely.
You know about 20 and back?
Oh no, this is millions of years in the future. They're gonna disappear.
Do you know about 20 and back?
No.
About 20 and back?
He was explaining the 20 and backs. And when he was talking about the 20 and back, he basically said as a child, they took him for 20 years on a secret space program.
Yeah, like the Freemasons have been sending me boyfriends. It's kind of nuts. Handler romantic partners.
In reality, I was surrounded by people all the time, other handlers in the cult network and different types of sex workers.
He would be like, Amy, just date the handler. It's okay. You have to date someone. He's like, they're usually good in bed. Just date them.
You're Jewish mostly?
Mostly. Yeah, according to Ancestry.com, like 95% or 90-something percent Ashkenazi Jewish, yeah.
I'm like a secret Jew. I am 18% Ashkenazi Jew. 18%.
Different schools of black magic. The Jewish bloodlines are considered essential to the process. They need specifically a descendant of Solomon. So apparently I qualify for that. I have enough of a direct blood relationship to the historical Solomon that they could use me for these rituals.